Well, the top-ranked Wisconsin women's hockey team returned to action last weekend and swept Minnesota State in Mankato. Mark Johnson's squad will be home to play Ohio State Friday and Saturday afternoon. The Wisconsin men's hockey team returns after more than a month off. The Badgers welcome in top-ranked Minnesota to LeBron Arena this weekend. I'm Brian Posick, and head coach Tony Granato joins us next on the Badger Hockey Digest.
It's back. The return of the prestigious Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, honoring college sports excellence across all competitive divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow along with L Directors Cup on Twitter or online to see which schools will be taking home a first-place trophy in June for their season-long success. Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, a premier institutional award jointly launched in 1993 by USA Today and NACDA.
And I think we're all glad that 2020 is behind us. But, your club, Tony, played 10 games in 2020 before that Michigan State series was postponed because of COVID issues. And you look at the record, you went 5-5, but in the Big Ten, you're currently in second place. And I would think that you have to be encouraged with how your club played in the first half.
Yeah, very much so. And when I look at the Big Ten record and I look at 5-2-1, that gets you excited because we started at Notre Dame and then we had some tough series in between and we're missing Dylan Holloway for 8 of those games, but we ended up missing 4 other guys for different reasons at different points. So we played shorthanded the last 4 games and our guys battled through it. It wasn't the best scenario to go through, but it's one of those years that you got to be ready to handle whatever adversity is thrown at you. I thought our guys, the first weekend we played shorthanded against Arizona State. It happened fast. We lost 4 guys the day before the game. And mentally we weren't ready for that challenge, and we played sloppy. And what we did, though, is we came out of that weekend with a whole different attitude heading into Ohio State and what was supposed to be Michigan State. And we went there with a short roster, playing 4 games in 7 nights. We found a way to win on that second night. And probably play our most complete game as far as just some of the details of the game that it takes to win. So we finished on a strong note. The guys felt really good heading into break about our team. We had a long break, the break of over 3 weeks of not being on the ice due to the quarantining and everything else. So we sent the guys home. They came back recharged, refreshed. There's been a great jump in practice the first few days back. And it'll be our first time we'll have a full team since really, the first weekend at Notre Dame. So I'm excited about it. I really am. And our goaltending's been solid. Our defensive play's been solid. Our specialty team's been solid. 3 key areas that, every team has to have, or be solid in those areas. And for the first 10 games, I think we feel really good about those 3 things.
And Ty Emberson, your team captain, the junior defenseman from Eau Claire, spoke about the resiliency of this team. And there have been instances where you go down a goal or things aren't going your way, a.k.a. the Arizona State series when you were shorthanded. And you could have, cried in your soup, but you came out the next series against Ohio State and played your fannies off. And I think that shows the maturity and resiliency of this team.
I agree, and again, I think we've mentioned this before. Our leadership group and MB's being the captain is certainly the big guy in that part of that. But you also type out Bice and Tarek Baker and Tyler Inamoto. They've really done a great job, and most of the offseason again was reflecting back on what we did wrong last season and what we can do better. This year when we're faced with tough situations, and like I said, man. What was thrown at us the first, month of the season, most teams can go through a whole season and not have to face what we did. And we came out of it feeling pretty good about it. We came out of it, like you said, with the right attitudes and dealing with it and understanding that that's part of it. If we're going to play this season, there's going to be things that are thrown at you like game cancellations, like all of a sudden the day before the game, you got 4 players that have to quarantine, different situations like that sometimes you don't quite understand it or why it's happening to you, but you got to play. And the Ohio State series, you fall behind 4-0 in the first game, kind of not because we were playing that bad. It's just the breaks went their way. They went in our net. we made a goalie change, and we settled back into that game, and we got back into that game. I know it was 4-2, but the last 10 minutes of that game, we probably had 4 or 5 really good chances to make it 4-3, and we didn't quit. And all the energy you spend trying to come back in a game like that, especially with playing with only 8 or 9 forwards, we ended up playing with 8 forwards that game because Ryder got tossed in that game. You think, holy cow, how are we going to get enough energy for the next night? And we found a way. And like I said, I thought it was our most complete game. It was a game where the guys, when they, went on the ice that night, they said, we're winning this game. We're going to do everything we can. And we were rewarded because of it. And that's the feeling we had leaving. And that's the feeling I want coming back when we hit the ice against Minnesota on Saturday afternoon.
And finally, every weekend in the second half, as long as things go well, you'll be playing hockey. It starts this weekend against Minnesota at LeBron Arena. And you mentioned the Gophers are off to a red-hot start. They're ranked #1 in the country. Bob Motzko's their head coach, and it seems like he has the players in place, much like he did when he was very successful at St. Cloud State. You start with their goaltender, Jack LaFontaine, who's been nearly unbeatable this year. Up front, Sampo Ranta and Scott Reedy, among others. Their defense is strong. I'm not sure if there's a weakness on that club. Have you seen one yet?
No, I mean they played pretty flawless, for the first part of the year. Like you said, defensively they're giving up just about a goal a game. So they're sound defensively. They got a great skating team. They got individual players that can beat you one-on-one. They grind it out when they need to. So right now all the pieces look like they've fallen into place for Minnesota. But the one thing they haven't been faced with, and they actually get faced with it prior to the season, they went through a time when they had to shut her down for a little bit. But really, since the season began and the games began, they haven't faced a whole lot of adversity. So it's our job to challenge them in different ways than they've been challenged before. I think, I certainly respect everything that they've done so far this year, but we have to scratch and claw and find ways to find a weakness, to find a way to get to them. And the first, person you mentioned there in LaFontaine, you got to find a way to make it harder on him. He's got a ton of confidence right now. He's seeing the puck. He just looks really calm back there, and we're going to have to find a way to get to him. And that doesn't mean you run him over. It doesn't mean you do anything like that. It means you find ways to make it hard for him to see the puck, challenge him in different ways by being aggressive at shooting the puck, and find ways to establish an offensive zone mentality where you're grinding him down, where he's got to go from post to post and fight through screens consistently, and hopefully you get to him that way where you're able to break the seal, so to speak, that he's had in front of his net so far this year.
My thanks to Tony Granato, Paul Capobianco, and Jay Williams. I'm Brian Posick. You can catch the Badgers and the Golden Gophers Saturday and Sunday on Fox Sports Wisconsin and the Badger Sports Network. Thanks for watching the Badger Hockey Digest.